Shalom, Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that's pushing this great gospel of sincerity and truth. This is your brother Tazakai Yahweh from the Great Millstone, Annapolis camp. Coming at you another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and Lord willing be edified. We got an article here from healthline.com, and it reads, could the Marburg iris start another outbreak? What we know. It says the Marburg iris is spread by fruit bats, right? Just like this, like, you know, how what they said about this current thing that we're under, it started from bats, and then from bats it went to, people. Going on, it says health authorities in the West African nation of Guinea confirmed the case of the Marburg earlier this month. This is the first time this virus, which causes a highly infectious hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola, has been detected in West Africa. The WHO calls the disease epidemic prone, meaning that it can spread easily between people if not prevented. As the world focuses on battling crowd, another dangerous virus was detected in Africa this month, causing concerns among health experts. Health authorities in the West African nation of Guinea, and we know who was over there in West Africa, said Israelites over there, primarily of the Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, Levi. Then, of course, there's some mixing in with a little sprinkling of the Northern Kingdom over there as well. And amongst, guarantee you some Hamites around as well. But, mostly over there in West Africa, that's Jake over there. It's a health authorities in the West African nation of Guinea confirmed the case of the Marburg on August 9th in the southern Gekido prefecture, according to the WHO. This is the first time this virus, which causes a highly infectious hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola, has been detected in West Africa. We applied the alertness and the quick investigative action by Guinea's health workers. The potential for the Marburg to spread far and wide means we need to stop it in its tracks. I'm not even going to try to say that name. The doctor said, WHO Regional Director for Africa said in the statement, we are working with the health authorities to implement a swift response that builds on Guinea's past experience and expertise in managing Ebola, which is transmitted in a similar way. According to the WHO, Gekido, where this case of Marburg was identified, is the same region that experienced the cases of the 2021 Ebola outbreak in Guinea, and where the 2014 and 2016 West African outbreak was initially detected. What is the Marburg iris? It says Dr. Eric Ciopena, Director of the Global Health at Northwell Health in New Hyde Park, New York, told Healthline that Marburg is a type of viral hemorrhagic fever. Hemorrhagic, it's like it's he's saying that, but hemorrhagic fever, is an infectious fever that causes internal bleeding. He explained, usually from an overwhelming inflammatory reaction that decreases a patient's platelets and clotting factors. The CDC says that although some types of hemorrhagic fever viruses can cause relatively mild illnesses, many of these viruses can cause severe life-threatening disease. According to the CDC, the viral hemorrhagic fevers, or VHFs, are caused by 4 distinct virus families. And there y'all see it, those 4. It says the Marburg virus is considered a filovirus, or whatever. Filovirus is the same group of viruses that Ebola belongs to, said Ciopena. Symptoms are virtually identical to Ebola, and mortality ranges widely from less than Ebola. About 28% is the lowest mortality, and 88% is the highest recorded mortality. Damn. It says Ciopena says symptoms includes fever, malaise, body aches, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and internal hemorrhaging. The Marburg virus is epidemic prone. So the WHO calls the disease epidemic prone, meaning that it can spread easily between people if not prevented. There have been previous Marburg outbreaks in other parts of Africa, including Angola, Uganda, and South Africa. The viruses are not as contagious as what we are used to with crown, says Pena. Infections usually occurs with direct contact with the body fluids of an infected individual, usually close family members, or people participating in funeral rituals that involve close contact with the body. The good news, he added, is that awareness of preventing viral hemorrhage and fever is very fresh on the minds of those in Guinea due to the Ebola outbreak in 2014. The fact that this was detected after one case speaks to the surveillance and commitment of the governments of West Africa countries to prevent another epidemic like 2014, he said. It says where, let me see how much more is all this. Okay, not too much more, Slovakia. We can read it. It say where the Marburg comes from. A 2012 article published in the journal Irises found that first reported the philo iris, Slovakia, I've been saying that, hemorrhagic fever outbreak took place in Germany and the former Yugoslavia in 1967. It began with lab workers in Marburg and Frankfurt, Germany, and Belgrade, and Yugoslavia, now Serbia, contracted a previously unknown infectious agent. Of 31 patients that developed severe disease, it caused death in 7 cases. According to the article, the source of infection was traced back to African green monkeys imported from Uganda and shipped to all 3 locations. It's funny how they supposedly always come from an animal, whatever the case may be. And not saying that animals don't, eat things or be in areas that's not, contagious or infectious or whatever the case may be, but it's just, it's a little weird. I'll just say. It's decades later, we understand that monkeys weren't the primary source of the iris. See, so like I said, they always say, it came from this, but then they find out actually it really didn't. It says, can we know, us in the know where these things come from, So it says the host of the Marburg iris is the fruit bat, says C.O. Pena. They don't show signs of illness, however, can carry the iris. He explained that the iris can then jump to an immediate host, like a monkey, which can transmit to humans, or it can transmit to humans directly by contact with fruit bats or their guano. So it says the signs and symptoms of Marburg. Dr. Teresa Murray Amato, chair of the emergency medicine at Long Island J-ish Forest Hills in New York, said the signs and symptoms of the Marburg HF are experienced within 5 to 10 days of exposure, includes sudden onset of high fever, chills, headaches, and body aches. That sounds familiar, don't it? They say after about 5 days of initial symptoms, a rash develops mostly on the chest and back. She said additional symptoms then occur that includes nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, chest pain, and abdominal pain. She pointed out after this there may be a skin color changes where the skin appears yellow from jaundice. The pancreas and the liver become inflamed, leading to liver failure and massive bleeding. Damn. It says treating Marburg. Amato explained that while there's no specific treatment to Marburg disease, so there's no type of cure or anything like that. It says most people seeking care will require intravenous fluids, replacement of electrolytes, supplemental oxygen, and replacement of blood and blood products. She confirmed that there is currently no Vanessa against this iris, right? About 25 to 30% of people who contract Marburg HF will succumb to the disease. She continued and warned that the disease isn't easy to identify. Marburg HF may be difficult to diagnose initially, as the presentation initially resembles many more common viral infections, he said. Amato emphasized that it's very important for patients to tell their doctor if they've traveled to an area that may be associated with an exposure to the iris that causes the Marburg disease. The bottom line, the WHO confirmed that health authorities in the West African nation of Guinea have recently identified a case of the Marburg. This iris causes symptoms similar to Ebola. It's a type of I was saying this right the whole time. Well, I think I was, but hemorrhagic fever that causes internal bleeding and originates Salakian originates in the species of fruit bat. Experts say that the Guinea's recent experience with the Ebola outbreak in 2014 has enabled the West African nation to quickly control the situation. So there we have it. This could be something that could be, another outbreak, like I said. Now, one thing I would like to point out is, isn't it odd that we know a certain guy, that used to be, behind Microsoft, a certain guy that was going down there in West Africa, so, was quote unquote helping people with, jabs and stuff like that. So isn't it kind of odd that since it was known that he went down there to do this and that, now this virus is spreading now, not trying to jump to conclusions, but it's just a little odd, if you ask me. But, it's like going on. Got another little article. As a matter of fact, let me see. Yeah, I should be able to get through this one. This is I'm a little pressed for time. But it says, this from USA Today. It says, potentially deadly superbug fungus found in 2 U.S. cities, CDC says. Superbugs or antibiotic-resistant bacteria are spreading, making infections like pneumonia and gonorrhea difficult to treat. And this article came out July 23rd to the year 2021. The year hastened to come in Yahweh Shema Shai. And look at 10 right there, that 1044, 144, Rakata Yahweh Shema Shai. But going on, it says, U.S. health officials said Thursday they now have evidence of an untreatable fungus spreading in 2 hospitals and a nursing home. The superbug outbreaks were reported in the Washington, D.C. nursing home and at 2 Dallas area hospitals. The CDC reported a handful of the patients had invasive fungal infections that were impervious to all 3 major classes of medication. So there's no treatment for it. This is really the first time we started seeing clustering of resistance, in which patients seem to be getting the infections from each other, said the CDC's Dr. Megan Lyman. The fungus Candida auris is a harmful form of yeast that is considered dangerous to hospital and nursing home patients with serious medical problems. It is most deadly when it enters the bloodstream, heart, or brain. Outbreaks in the healthcare facilities have been spurred when the fungus spread through patients' contacts or on contaminated surfaces. I guess that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, it says health officials have sounded alarms for years about the superbug after seeing infections in which commonly used drugs had little effect. In 2019, doctors diagnosed 3 cases in New York that were also resistant to a class of drugs called, echinocandins, that were considered the last line of defense. In those cases, there was no evidence the infections had spread from patient to patient. Scientists have concluded the resistance to the drugs formed during treatment. The new cases did spread, the CDC concluded. They say in Washington, D.C., a cluster of 101 C. iris cases at a nursing home dedicated to very sick patients, including 3 that were resistant to all 3 kinds of antifungal medications. A cluster of 22 in 2 Dallas area hospitals included 2 with that level of resistance. The facilities weren't identified. Those cases were seen from January to April. Of the 5 people who were fully resistant to treatment, 3 died. Both Texas patients and 1 in Washington. Lyman said both are ongoing outbreaks and that additional infections have been identified since April, but those added numbers were not reported. See, they not reporting on this at all. This superbug or this Marburg or whatever the case may be. Everything is, go get you a crate and stack it up, and they pushing this Afghanistan things, and this, like I said, it's a lot of stuff that's going on that people is not paying attention to, and they just CDC just fully approved the juice, and hey, it's a lot of stuff going on that people not paying attention to, but hey, that's on them. It say investigators reviewed medical records and found no evidence of previous antifungal use among the patients in those clusters. Health officials say that means they spread from person to person. So there we got it. We got the Mberg, and then we got this superbug, that the Lord is, using to, He's sending His plagues like He said He is going to do. And this is we're gonna get to the point, it's for the, like I said, supposed to go back in there. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. It says, "Behold, saith the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, I will bring plagues upon the earth," well, upon the world, right? So this is the Lord who brings this. He's the one who sends these plagues, no matter the case may be, whether if it's man-made or not, he's the one that's behind it all. They say the sword, right? Famine, death, and destruction. And that's what this and that's what's gonna ultimately happen. Hey, we've been seeing a lot of death that have been, contributed to these pestilences that have been going on in the world. And here's more that's coming, and these are said to have no type of treatment. So it's gonna come a point in time when the Lord's gonna actually open up, and He's gonna start sending these pestilences that just, they have no clue what it is. They have no treatments for it. It's gonna run rampant. It's gonna kill, bunches of people. We know that these days are coming, and the Lord, He's definitely gonna send them. They say, and why He gonna do it? Because why? For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and the hurtful works are fulfilled. Because that's the reason why. Because wickedness has, like I said, is at an all-time high. And ultimately what got to happen for that wickedness, say the wages of sin is death. So you got to pay for that. The things that you do, that's contributed to wickedness, not being repentant of, your sins and things like that. You keep, piling them up and piling them up. Ultimately what happens is you receive death, right? And that's what I said, He going to bring plagues upon the world. And one of them will say what? The sword, famine, and death. That's what's going to come from these plagues, right? And, Slacky. And this is all happening where? Well, some of them is, eventually we know it's gonna make its way over here. But like right here, verse 11, 2nd Ezra 15, verse 11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. Right? So that's what the Lord gonna do when He delivers us out of this place. He gonna come deliver us. We ain't gonna deliver ourselves. He gonna send His Son Yahweh Shai, the holy angels, to deliver us, right? And smite Egypt, right? This is spiritually Egypt with plagues, right? So this is part of the prophecies for the Lord to smite Egypt with plagues. And we know plagues can be multiple things. It could be a plague of mice, plague of locusts, plagues of fire, so forth and so on. And and He got all those things going on right now as we speak. But these particular plagues and forms of these pestilences, man, the Lord sending them. It say He gonna smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. And we know ancient Egypt, all the land of it wasn't destroyed. It's still over there, right there intact. We know that this is talking about spiritual Egypt, Babylon the Great, that will be destroyed from off the face of the earth, right? So we know it's the Lord. He's the one that's sending these plagues, to this place for the punishment, and rightfully so, because, hey, it deserves it. The scripture say that the sins have reached up into heaven, right? This is verse 27, 2 Ezra 15 and 27. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. So all these plagues that Yahweh Shemel Shai is sending, you're not going to be able to put them off. You're not going to be able to stop them. You're not going to be able to deter them. It say what? And it say, and ye shall remain in them. So you're going to so the whole world is going to remain in all these plagues. You know what I'm saying? Because it has to. Because like you said, man, wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth. So, hey, it's going to, like I said, you're going to remain in them, because ultimately what the Lord got to do, man, He got to come back and He got to purify the earth. And the main way He going to purify the earth is through that nuclear fire and the concentrated laser beams. But before that salvation come, before that destruction come, He got to send these, he's bound by His word. So He say He going to send these plagues. Hey, here we are. It say what? For the Most High shall not deliver you because you have sinned against Him. Right? So ultimately, the only people that can really sin against Him is who? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Right? But that don't disregard that what these heathens do. If they do something that would be considered going against the law, that is a sin. That's why I said, like He told Esau, he will discover thy sins. Like the Lord, he sees all these things that's going on because He put the Spirit on you to do it. Therefore, for your wrongdoers, your evildoers, He got to send His correction. He got to send these punishments, right? And we gonna get that in the next chapter. So understand the plagues, man. The whole earth is gonna remain in all these plagues until the destruction come. This is 2nd Ezra. I'm just gonna get to the point. Second Ezra chapter 16 verse 19. Behold, famine and plague, right? Tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. These are the ways how the Lord, he sends his punishments, his corrections. Like I said, via, extremities like this: famine and plague, tribulation, anguish, all out hell breaking loose. This is how the Lord punishes the world, sending fires and earthquakes and volcanoes and the storms, and this is all the doings of the Lord. This is how he paying you back, recompensing you until the great payback comes, right? But it says what? But for all these things, right? But for all these corrections, all these chastisements, all these punishments, reproofs, rebuking, for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourge. So even with the Lord dealing these out, the people still ain't gonna be mindful. They probably gonna recognize for a day or two or a week, and they go back to their folly. But we understand that we're going to come into that time and we're approaching Jacob's trouble. And man, all these things can become to pass in that time period. And that's going to be the time where you're going to wish you did turn from your wickedness. You're going to be seeking out for answers. You're going to be seeking for somebody to help you. And you're not going to receive that help. You're going to ultimately die by those scourges. You're going to die, by those plagues and things that are written aforetime in the scriptures to happen to this place. So this is the time period that we in, and like I said, it ain't gonna get no better, right? But what the scriptures say, verse 37, 2 Corinthians 16:37, behold, the plagues draw nigh, and they are not slack. They not slack. These plagues, man, they ain't sweet. They ain't no pushover, I'll just brush it off. No, these plagues are severe. These are like I said, life-threatening plagues, life-changing plagues. Like we in a plague that ultimately changed life around the whole entire earth. So we experiencing things like that right now. But like I said, they draw nigh, and they gonna keep on coming, and they're not gonna slack at all. It ain't gonna, like I said again, it ain't gonna be sweet. It ain't gonna be something that you can easily bear. No, it's gonna get harder and harder. And it says this: as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of birth, great pains compass her womb. Which pains, when the child coming forth, they slack down a moment. That's what's going on right now. The earth is experiencing these pains right now. And it's getting, like I said, it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And they say, they slack down a moment. So these plagues, man, they're not going to slack at all. They say, even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth. So it's comparing the plagues, the birth pains of a childbirth to the plagues that's going to come upon the earth. They're going to get worse and get worse and get worse, right? It say, even so shall the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn. Are not the people mourning? Absolutely they are. They're in derision, confused, distress. They want answers. They say and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. This place is, man, the earth is in sorrow right now. That's why I say when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And that's why the people mourn, because why? The earth is getting to the hand of the wicked, and wickedness is exceedingly promoted through these devils around the whole earth. So therefore, the Lord gotta do what he gotta do. He gotta punish this place. Like I said, definitely a little pressed for time, but we just gonna get that red letter, right? Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences. What's that word? Pestilences goes into, what's that? Loimos. Let me see. Loimos. Yep. Loimos, because the famines is limos, but so loimos. And you got a pestilence, a pestilent fella, pest, plague. A certain affinity, plague, literally the disease, or, that's what's going on right now. We living amongst a one that changed the world, but ultimately all these other ones are going to come into play as well, right? They say earthquakes in diverse places. It says all these are the beginning of sorrows. So what can you contribute? Matter of fact, go to that word sorrows and look what it say. what's that, Udine. And it says what? A pang or throat, especially of childbirth. Pain, sorrow, travail. Then we just read that it said that the plagues that's going to be sent upon the earth is going to be likened to birth pains, childbirth. So that's what the world, that's what the world is experiencing right now. And like I said, it's only, it got to get worse before it get better. So it's gonna get better when we receive salvation, when the Lord render recompense and vengeance upon our enemies and set up His righteous kingdom. That's when the things are going to be better. That's when peace comes. That's when justice gets served. But until then, it's going everything else is just going to be in turmoil. It's going to be sorrows, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse to the day of the deliverance. So hey. This is something that we just gotta, we gotta keep watching and, just praying. That's all we gotta do. And Lord willing, we be, of course, watch, pray, and do the things that Yahweh Shem Shai requires us to do. To, like I said, make our calling and our election sure. Given that diligence. So Lord willing, this lesson was edified to sincere Akiwa Akwaf out there listening. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to our apostles and elders and great millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that's pushes great gospel with sincerity and truth. But like I said, these plagues, man, they draw nigh, man, they not going to slack a moment. They going to continue to hammer this place, and Lord willing to do. So they can come down with that great wrath, because we ultimately know that they have but a short time. So, continue to push, continue to keep the faith, continue to believe it, And yeah, I gotta say, and all praises again to Yahweh, Bashem Shai, Bashem Kakudash, the honors to our apostles, elders, and great millstone, peace and blessings to the whole full. Shalom.